Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Everybody, like I said, in the open, I've got Angel Ortiz joining me from the Bearded Browns podcast and the Typical Browns Fan podcast. Angel, how you doing this week, man?
Oh, good. Trying to stay warm. 0
Oh,
degree
no
temperature is killing my old body, but we trying to survive, man. Just dreading going outside. Just simple things. Going to grocery store is a pain in the butt when you have.
Yeah, no kidding. You look out and it's like this beautiful landscape with all the snow and the sun's out and it looks, oh, it's got to be a nice day out there. No, it's freezing. It will shock you to the core walking outside right now. It's brutal. But Angel, like I said, is here to join me, talk about everything going on with this Browns head coaching search, the Todd Monken hire. We've got some news about staff members that Monken is bringing over from Baltimore to Cleveland. And we've got some Shedeur Sanders connections in here with Todd Monken that we want to discuss with you guys today as well. So, Angel, let me just get your opinion first. When the news dropped about Todd Monken being the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns, what was your initial reaction versus how do you feel about it now, like 3 days removed?
Initial reaction, I was dumbfounded and shocked.
Okay.
Because I'm on our podcast on the Bearded Browns, we were saying, I probably like everybody else. Todd Monken is like just a fixture, just a random name thrown in there. And I discounted him to his, I felt bad about it, but because of, his age or whatever, I didn't think highly of it. But now, when I actually look back and started reading up on them, seeing videos that are automatically resurfacing now. I didn't see these videos of him talking before. Now they're just miraculously appearing out of nowhere. Shout out to his PR guys. But
no kidding.
Yeah, I'm like, holy crap, how did I not see this before? Because that would have enticed my opinion of him. The way he communicates, the way he's tough and rugged that he is. I'm like, I would have gave him more, like, as a fan, like, points toward him, and maybe I would have been seeing it a little more, the connection more. But now, to be honest with you, I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. He's very analytical. I didn't realize that. Then again, I should have, because we talked about Baltimore being the second analytical driven organization behind us. So I should have connected the dots there. But we're going to see how well he develops this offense, because the last 2.5 years, we've experienced horrible output.
No kidding. I'm definitely more excited than I was when the news first came out, because I was like you, like, what? Todd Monken? Are you like? I didn't even think that was a serious candidate. I really didn't. And
me too.
Apparently, it was very serious. And I'm trying to be different with this coaching search than I was with things like Ken Dorsey, because I didn't like the hire. And then I did all my reading and research about him and looked into his past and said, okay, never mind. I've convinced myself this is a good move. And just completely left my priors aside. I don't want to leave my priors aside on this one, because there's still the fact that he had, I think, 11 years in the NFL, 26 years, I believe, in college football. And throughout all that time, 36 years coaching football, he only had one head coaching gig, and that was at Southern Miss. So I'm still going to be skeptical that this guy is 60 years old, never gotten a head coaching opportunity at the NFL level until now. But I'm definitely excited to see what he can do with the offense compared to what Kevin Stefanski was doing, because we talked about it. You and I have had these conversations. Was not impressed one bit with the offense that Kevin Stefanski was running here, especially after that first couple of years. It just got stale, it got old. There was no adaptability, no versatility. He didn't change anything. And this sounds like Monken's going to be the complete opposite with the offense in that regard.
Yeah, it seems like his output, like you see his EPA, the last couple of years with Baltimore is always top 5, and we were always bottom 3. So that should, you can see that flip hopefully within the next couple of years. Hopefully, also too, what works well with Monken from what I'm reading is that he adapts to the player, and Kevin just wanted the player to adapt to him. So bringing
Yep.
in Monken may help your offense even week to week, because if he sees a defense's weaknesses, he can exploit it as much as Kevin did, where he's just like, this is how we're going to run it. We're going to run it regardless of the strength of the defense. Even if it counters our offense, we're going to still run it. Maybe Monken will come in and counter and play chess as opposed to just being hard-headed. And in game adjustments too. If maybe Monken's going to be smarter with that. They said, hey, we got to adjust to this in the second half because they played this well in the first half. So hoping all that.
Hoping. Yeah, hoping and hoping that, he's obviously a proven offensive mind and proven offensive coordinator. Can he make the jump to be the CEO role now and not just oversee the offense, but now an entire team? All the players, all facets, all units, everything to do with the team and not just specifically the offense. That'll be probably the biggest test for him, honestly. And I think the adaptability to players, you saw what happens whenever a team and a head coach says, I've got to get a player to fit my system. Well, that's how you end up with Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
And that player may have fit your system and your style of offense very well, but he's limited. He doesn't have what it takes to be successful at this level of football. And then we saw Shedeur Sanders come in the game. And again, you're trying to fit this player into your specific style of offense. And it was clunky, but you saw the signs that, yes, this guy can actually play at this level. Now, I'd like to see what it looks like with offense tailored to what Shedeur does well, which we can kind of move into that discussion with all the Shedeur Sanders and Todd Monken connections coming out. You messaged me earlier about one. Do you want to bring that up quick?
Yeah, the connection of, I didn't realize this, the connection, someone messaged this to me, and I'm like, crap, I got to message this to Josh real quick to see if he did. The connection where Monken was recruiting Shedeur in Georgia for the Georgia Bulldog, University of Georgia. So I didn't realize that, and it kind of makes this hire more intriguing, because you're like, well, maybe he talked him into being the guy because he has that connection. I believe in Shedeur. I try to recruit him. I know what he can do. I watched him in high school. I know his strengths and his weaknesses. And obviously, if you read all the stuff that's coming out with the Albert Breer situation going on with how the interviews were handled, obviously Monken talked him into, hey, I can develop Shedeur this way, and that may entice them to be like, all right, we're going to roll with you.
Yeah, so there was a lot, made about the written essay stuff that came out about the Browns head coach interview process. And then Albert Breer came out with the article like you just alluded to. And he had more details, a little bit deeper breakdown on that process. And what the essay portion of this interview process was essentially is it was a 6-part questionnaire. So the candidates had to write out their answers to 6 questions. One of the questions specifically asked the candidates, how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? And Breer highlighted that as he was the only quarterback mentioned by name in one of those questions. He said there were 3 players specifically mentioned by name. He didn't list the other 2. I'm guessing Myles Garrett was probably one of them. And
you have to do
who knows who the third one was, but one of them was Shedeur Sanders. He said now, obviously, all the discussions, had parts and pieces tailored to, talking about Dylan Gabriel and Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, but Sanders was the only one mentioned by name in that essay questionnaire part of the interview process, which was interesting. And then you messaged me and say, hey, he was trying to recruit him when he was the OC at Georgia. He was trying to get him to come to Georgia. And then the video comes out today, which I was like, okay, I can buy into this a little bit more now, where Shedeur Sanders walks into the office for the first time to meet Todd Monken as the head coach of the Browns, gives him a high five, a little hug, and he says, or Monken says to Sanders, hey, we were trying to recruit your ass last year in Baltimore. He said, it all worked out.
Yeah, he said it worked out. And then he said, we'll talk about that more later. So he's going to add some more conversation behind the scenes of, hey, we really wanted you. I believe in you. I'm going to invest in you. Probably give him the confidence. Because one thing I think Shedeur did lack at times last year during his playing was confidence. Whenever it went downhill, it went downhill. So hopefully Monken comes in shoots him up with some confidence, encourages him so he can come in more confident than he was during the. And to his extent, I can see that. You push to the side because you're Dylan Gabriel and this odd quarterback competition they did during the offseason, which limited your opportunities. So I could see why he was discouraged. In the last game during the preseason, he didn't play well. So he went into the season, probably down on himself. But Monken comes in, going to encourage him. Also, I want to point out, too, while he left the England to be here to meet Monken, there's a fashion show going on.
He was overseas.
Yeah, he was overseas. He made sure to be here to meet Monken face to face. And do you know where the other quarterback is right now? Deshaun Watson.
Which one, Gabriel or Watson? Yeah,
he's in Italy.
Okay,
so there's a vibe there. Like if your quarterback who you invested $250 million in is not here to meet the new coach, that says a lot about the guy who's making $250 million as opposed to this guy who's sees an opportunity and seizing it. That's encouraging to me to see.
I agree with you. I mean, I know obviously it's the off season. These guys are on their trips and things like that. We didn't get a video of Myles Garrett welcoming Todd Monken or anything like that either. And obviously the Brown social media team, they're not idiots. They know Shedeur Sanders sells, he's clicks and everything like that. So let's make sure we get that video. But to your point, he has to be there to have the video.
Yep.
So, and Shedeur made sure that he was there. So that's definitely encouraging to see. I was talking with the other guys on my podcast this morning about that. Blake said, I'm slowly coming around on this hire. I'm not going to say it's going to be fantastic or we're going to win 10 games, 12 games or anything like that. But I'm coming around to how it can be successful. And I said, I'm the same place. Now, I do remember the last time we hired a head coach, specifically because he had a relationship with the quarterback and believed in the quarterback. And, it was going to be great with them two working together between Freddie Kitchens and Baker Mayfield. And it didn't work out very well. So the seasoned Browns fan in me is like, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I know I've seen how this can go bad. So I'm not just going to discard my scars. I know how this goes sometimes. Yeah, Freddie Kitchens. Yeah, that's a horrible. Yeah, now you brought up PTSD for me for a second. Yeah, I know.
That was a horrible year. Miles beating up Mason Rudolph with the helmet, and then him wearing the Pittsburgh Started shirt in the theater, and that made news. That was just a horrible year. What's encouraging though is like you had Monken who has experience. Like Freddie Kitchens was just he started as a running back coach that season, didn't he?
I think so. It was either that or tight end. I can't remember.
Offense, he worked his way up.
Might have been running back.
Yeah, and then they made him off. Somehow it worked out to where he was
the interim OC after Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley got.
So anyways, it's definitely over his head. But that's very. I'm the same way. On my podcast, I always say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm built that way. I'm optimistic in general when it comes to the Browns, even though they hurt my heart every year. But I think this is a little. Even if Todd Monken comes in, let's say 3-4 years, maybe he lasts his whole contract and brings in a culture that is different than the other coaches where it's winning, where you're starting to learn to develop your offense, develop players offensively. I think that would be a win also. And then maybe you can pass the baton on to the next coach that can then take it to the next level, which is maybe a Super Bowl or even AFC Championship, but depending on where Monken ends it at. That's the way I see it. I think Monken is going to come in and change the culture and then pass it on to whomever the football gods bring us next if he doesn't last longer than 5 years.
True, very true. And the only way that culture really gets passed on is you've got to have your premium position players locked in, your core guys. And I've seen this posted, and I don't disagree online with people when they say this. Like, last year's draft class was great, but you're not going to sell people on, hey, I got a really good running back and a really good linebacker. Like, people want to, do you have your quarterback? Do you have your franchise wide receiver one? Do you have your offensive tackles? Do you have your left tackle set and forget it in place? Obviously, you've got your edge rusher, your cornerback. Those premium positions are filled on defense. You have none right now on offense, but we're hoping Shedeur Sanders takes that next level jump under Todd Monken, which at least at least we know we've got confirmation that Monken likes him, believes in him, and is ready to work with him. Which, I never really bought into all the Kevin was sabotaging Shador stuff, but it was also very apparent to me that he wasn't making him a priority over Dylan Gabriel, at least for the first part of the year, which again goes back to that was his guy. He wanted Dylan Gabriel, and he tried to shove that in there and make it work. It didn't. So I think that we're going to get off on a better start with Shador this time around.
Or even at the sabotage, so I don't believe in it either, but even come up with like a plan. His weaknesses, his strengths. Like, why are we trying to fit a square in a round hole here? And I think that was always Kevin's weakness. Is that I'm a Kevin fan. I like him. I think he might do well in Atlanta because I think that fits him. But I think Shador, and I think it's probably why the owner and the GM got upset or frustrated with Kevin, is because she always try to mold the quarterback into him as opposed to being versatile and letting the quarterback adjusting to what the quarterback's strengths were.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There was either way. I know that there were people that were upset about this hire, and then obviously the fact that we're going to lose, it seems, Jim Schwartz in this whole debacle, even though that was like the priority of the whole coaching search was keeping him. We're going to lose him anyway. And people will say, well, we should have just kept Kevin. If this is how it was going to go, we should have just, this is worse than having Kevin. I don't agree with that because I was ready to move on no matter what. Like, it didn't matter to me who we ended up replacing him with. It was just time to go. It was time for something new. And I'm going to obviously give this a chance. I did a show the other day where I said, I can see how this goes well for the Browns. I can see the path where it goes poorly for the Browns. So I just want to keep both sides in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, were you big on Jim staying? Like, did you think Schwartz had to stay?
No,
okay,
absolutely not. My big thing during the season, whenever I wanted Kevin gone, was I wanted a full cleanse. I was like, just get rid of everybody. This team is sunk back into a losing culture. Anybody who's a part of it's got to go. Just get rid of them.
Yeah, we were the same way on our podcast. Like, it was like people would argue like you need to keep him, promote him as head coach, and then you come up with like, well, when he did in Detroit as a head coach, he didn't call plays. He was just a head coach, and he had a defensive coordinator. He didn't do well there, and his strong suit is calling plays and being a defensive coordinator. You're taking his strength away from him, and most likely he's going to hire a defensive coordinator that's going to take away his strength. And that was concerning to me, let alone other issues that he had even as a defense coordinator.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. The defense was awesome to watch with Jim Schwartz. It was great. It was much better than it ever was, obviously, under Joe Woods. And it was pretty much solid all the time at home. You get on the road, different story. How about the Titans coming in here and dropping 31 on us?
People forget about that, by the way. I have to remind people, do you know that Tennessee came in with a rookie quarterback and they ran for like 100, close to 200 yards on your defense?
Yeah. Worst offense in the league this year. Worse than the Browns.
Yeah, and they rush almost 200 yards on you. Yeah, freaking Cam Ward looked like a first-round pick, actually, So, so I mean, he balled on you. And to the credit of that, like, your offense actually did a lot of scoring. They scored 29 points that game, too. I mean, Shador looked pretty decent to a losing cause because your defense looked horrible.
Yeah, and another thing, like, I don't agree with people that say, well, just get rid of Jim Schwartz. It's not a big deal. Anybody can come in here and be successful with this defense because, of course, we saw Joe Woods have Myles Garrett and, Denzel Ward and these guys, and it didn't go very well. So I wouldn't say that anybody can have a good defense with these players, but a good defensive-minded guy, somebody who's got a good scheme and everything, can have success with this defensive roster. I don't think it's only Jim Schwartz who was able to get these guys, although I'm not trying to underplay what he did here. Like, it was really good. He helped develop a lot of guys on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. You just don't hire me because I'll fail, but hire somebody that has, somebody that has credibility. Like, I think Raheem Morris, I think he runs a both 3-4 and 4-3 at one point. I think he would be high on my list. Anthony Weaver would be high on my list. Or you can even promote Tarver or Shazier. I mean, they know the system. They were in it for 3 years. Those would be my top 4 as of right now.
Yep. Yeah, I like those names for sure. And then, as we mentioned a little bit ago, already that Todd Monken's brought over the offensive line coach, George Warford, right? Or Warfold?
Warford. Yeah. Warford.
I keep getting his name
Yeah.
messed up, and every time I go to say it, I'm like, I didn't even bring it up on my screen. I'm an idiot. But anyway, so we got the offensive line coach from Baltimore, and now we're bringing over our new offensive coordinator is going to be Travis Switzer, who you said was what, the run game coordinator for Baltimore?
Yeah.
Okay, so the run game coordinator for Baltimore under Todd Monken, and I think we need to. Obviously, the talk about Shedeur Sanders under Monken is encouraging, and there's hope there. What about Quinshon freaking Judkins, man?
Yeah.
Because I looked at the stats this morning. I looked at the splits, and if I remember correctly, the Browns last year were something like a 57-43 split pass to run. So they were passing more than they were running. Baltimore was the opposite. It was like a 45 pass to a 50, 55, whatever run. So they're running more. And I remember the games where you'd look at the game log, because, this is like fantasy football stuff. And it's like, well, how'd the Ravens do today? How'd their players do? Lamar Jackson, 12 of 19.
Yeah.
Or, 14 to 17 today. Didn't throw the ball very, very much, but then you got Derrick Henry with like 25 carries and, Cotton Mitchell with, 10, whatever. They're running the ball more. I think that promoting the run game coordinator from Baltimore to come be our OC, Todd Monken as the head coach, points to a strong emphasis on the run game for the Browns in 2026, which that excites me.
That's very exciting too, because Monken's not stupid. He realized if I run, and I know the aunties and uncles out there of Shedeur, they're going to get upset, but I know they rated him pretty high, first, second round pick, but obviously the league rated him at fifth. I mean, Monken said, hey, we're going to pick you in the fifth round. I think most of the league looked at him as a fifth round or lower guy. So Monken's coming in and say he's going to need to develop. And in order to develop him properly, we're going to have to be a run first team. And you have your weapon in Judkins, even Sampson, which was underutilized last year. That I think you can actually add him to that list too. And Sanders, the running back Sanders. I mean, you bring him back, you have a three-man punching crew that you can use for the running game.
Absolutely. And I don't have the list pulled up. I don't really want to go into the specific names on this show this early in the process, but the free agent class of running backs this year is deep, and it's really, really good. Like, if they're going to get I don't know the timeline for Judkins' injury recovery right now, where he's at on that, if he's going to be fully ready by week 1, or if it's going to be a slow get him up to speed for the first month of the season, and then he'll be back to full. But either way, the first season off of that type of injury, he's probably going to face limitations throughout the duration of the year, would be my guess. To get another good quality running back in free agency this year is doable, number one. And I think they should probably look into it, especially if they're going to focus on the run game like that with these guys coaching the offense.
Yeah, that would be a smart move. And Andrew Berry knows how to get a deal. That's something that he does well, that he hasn't failed at, is outside of receiver. He knows how to get a good deal at running back
and quarterback
or quarterback. Yeah. Defense, he's good. He'll get a corner for cheap. Maybe he'll find a good running back for cheap.
Yeah. And I keep seeing the Tyler Linderbaum connections.
Yes.
The center, free agent center who played for the Ravens. Now you got Todd Monken come over here, and the run game coordinator and the O-line coach.
Throw a couple million his way. So you overpay for him a little bit.
I would overspend for Tyler Linderbaum to get in here and anchor down the center of that offensive line, and then go from there. See what else you can do in free agency. There's some studs in this draft that you can get. I would love to get Jennings Dunker. I don't know if you know about him.
Yeah, I've been reading on him.
The kid from Iowa, He was lighting up the Senior Bowl.
You can get him at 24 probably too.
Get him where?
You can get him at 24-ish, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think so. I think you could probably get him early second too. Yeah. Well, I guess depending on how he rises or falls during the draft process here. But early on, it was second round is kind of where I was seeing Jennings Dunker. But, it's good to talk about these things and see that it's not all doom and gloom for the Browns. Like, there is a path forward where this works. Go ahead. You get Linderbaum is the path, right? You get Linderbaum, maybe get a good, decent other tackle, somebody that's not, doesn't break the bank, but someone that's consistent. And then maybe we talked about it, get 2 receivers, 1 and 24, put them out there, and then go in the second round.
get the guy from Iowa, you have a good solid team for Shador right there, at least to start off. If Barry wants to win this draft, that's what he should do.
Yeah, and early on I was more convinced that it would be a good idea to take 2 receivers in the first round. As I'm starting to go through the wide receiver prospects and where they're currently projected to go in the draft and that kind of stuff, this draft doesn't really have like the top end elite receiver prospects like your Malik Neighbors or your Jamar Chase. There's nobody like that. But it's a deep class. It's a deep wide receiver class of guys that are going to come in and be good contributing players on an offense. So I think the Browns could probably get a good second receiver in the second round somewhere, or they could trade up from the third. They've got so many draft picks
they
can
got
move
like
around this year.
5th round picks that they can.
Yeah,
and they had like 5 or 3 or 4. But
yeah. So, well, is there anything else about Todd Monken that you wanted to bring to the table here or talk about?
No, I mean, I think we hit it all as far as him surprising me as far as his ability to communicate offense, his ability to. There's a video going out there of his 5 points of how to be a successful offense, and if you look at those 5 points, we lacked all 5 of them last year.
Oh, yes, we did.
So if he can bring that same message to his team and say, I think explosive plays was on there too. Yeah, I think he needs to apply that to this team, and then we'll see where we're at in the next couple of years. But I'm very, after settling down and actually looking at it, I think that was a good choice by Andrew Berry and Haslam to bring in the older guy who's more proven. I was a little happy about Shieldhouse. I saw a lot of smoke there on Tuesday. I'm like, maybe they're going to make the news. Maybe they're going to make the report here. But it all switched on Wednesday. I think that was probably a better move for the now. Because Barry said we're going to do what's benefit for where the team is now. And if you look at where the team is now, offensive development is important. And Todd Monken has developed the offense. Wherever he's gone, he's improved the offense. So maybe he can do it here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely, again, cautiously optimistic that he can do that he can help develop these young offensive players. We can get some new young offensive players again this year, start to get that solid premium position core group put together. The big thing, like I said before, can he make the transition from offensive coordinator focused solely on that unit to being the head coach, the overall seer of the whole team at the NFL level? Obviously, he's done it in college for, I think it was 3 seasons at Southern Miss. That's the only head coaching experience he has, but NFL ain't college. It is a different animal.
Yep, I agree.
So, all right, Angel, well, I appreciate you joining me here today, and hopefully we'll have you back on here as the offseason continues. We'll talk draft stuff or whatever else we can fit onto these episodes.
Yep. No, thanks for the invite. Love coming out. Appreciate it.